Hello, today we're going to be going over how you can create this really cool text effect that makes your text revolve around like a cylinder. So let's open up After Effects and let's get started. Okay, so my After Effects just opened. Let's create a new project, a new composition. I'm going to name it Main, and we're going to use a width of 1920 and a height of 1080 and a frame rate of 60. And my duration is 15 seconds, but you can change it to whatever fits your needs. Let's press OK. And now I'm going to toggle off my transparency grid. You do so by pressing this button right here. And I'm going to add some text. You could do so by pressing Ctrl T or pressing the T button over here next to the pen tool. Now let's write our text. And let's have the layer selected. Go over to Layer, Transform, and center anchor point in layer content. This way, our anchor point is centered to the text, both horizontally and vertically, and now we can align our text to the composition. If you don't have your align panel open, go over to Window and press Align. And now our text is perfectly aligned. So now we're going to pre-compose this. We're going to call it text. Okay, so now we're going to open up this composition we just made. We're going to do so by double pressing the text composition we just made. So select the layer, double click it, and now we have it open. So now we're going to go over to composition settings. So composition settings, and we're going to adjust the width and height so that it kind of fits like snug around the text. So bring it down. It also depends on the amount of space you want to be between each between each word, if that makes sense. So then the width. So 245 works for me. You might have to experiment with different numbers. So now let's make sure it's aligned again, and let's go over to Main, and now our text is still there, centered. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to select that layer and press R on our keyboard to open up the rotation properties, and we're going to make it spin 90 degrees. But now it is a bit too big, so I'm going to open it up and I'm going to actually scale it down. You could do so by pressing the layer and pressing S on your keyboard and just bringing it down a little. That does mean we're going to have to go back into composition settings and making the width smaller and the height smaller as well. Nice. So now we're going to go back into Main, and it should be better like that. So now we're going to go over to our Effects and Presets panel. If you don't have that open, once again, go to Window, Effects and Presets, and I'm going to add Motion Tile. So let's drag it onto this, and we're going to mess with the height. So now, as you can see, we have more duplicates of that text. So we're going to extend the output height number until we have a perfect cutout, if that makes sense. So 920. We are going to have to experiment with this as well. So that's good for me. 915 works really well. And the spaces between each word is what I meant with how much space you leave around the border of the text composition. So that's good for me. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pre-compose this. I'm going to call it text motion tile, so I know which is which. And make sure you press move out attributes into new composition and adjust composition duration. Now we have this, and we're going to go to our Effects and Presets tab one more time, and we're going to add an effect called CC Cylinder. Here it is. And we're going to open up Radius, Position, and Rotation. So we're going to rotate the X just a little bit, like 18. And then the Z, we're going to rotate it. This way it sits vertically instead of horizontally, and that could be fixed by adding -90 to that. And I'm actually going to make the X rotation around 10 rather than 18. Now to make it move, we have to go to the beginning of our composition and press the stopwatch on Y rotation. Now we're going to go over to the end and increase it. I'm going to increase it by 4. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that is actually way too fast, so I'm going to change this to probably 1. Is that better? Alright, that works for me. So now you can also experiment with different values of the different rotations. So for example, sometimes I like doing it like this, like 35 or 30, so the text is at an angle. And then if we pre-compose this, I'm going to call it text cylinder. Okay, so after we pre-compose it, let's press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and we're gonna add CC fast. We're gonna add CC radio fast blur to the text that's at the bottom. And now as you can see, it kind of adds this really nice glow effect to it. We might have to mess around with the amount if it's too harsh. 45. I think 45 works well. And that's pretty much it. You can add any other effects you may know of, but this is how to create a really cool looking text effect. You can use this for intros and stuff like that.